Welcome to School Talk. I'm Nadja Varney, your host. Higher education has become more and more international. Colleges and universities are forming global partnerships. Why this emphasis right now? And what kinds of partnerships are they? What's the objective? And how does it really help our students in our universities? Well, today I'm honored and delighted to have as a guest the president of Bridgewater State University, Dr. Dana Molifaria. He's the 11th president of the college, of the university. Prior to that, he served as vice president for Bridgewater State College in administration and finance. And he's held numerous other senior administrative positions in other colleges. And by the way, he was selected to serve with Governor Deval Patrick as a special advisor for education. He was instrumental in setting up the Executive Office of Education, and he was a member of the State Board for Elementary and Secondary Education. Welcome, Dr. Dana Molifaria.
Thank you. It's wonderful to be here today.
Well, I'm telling you, you have, just by virtue of who you are and your position, you've touched almost every level, not just higher ed. Have you enjoyed having that broad kind of connection?
I've really enjoyed it. I think I've had a wonderful career and exposure in so many areas in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and I'm delighted to have been there and done it.
Well, you know, we're talking about global partnerships, but I know that since its inception, Bridgewater State College University, they've always built partnerships with the town, with collaborations, cultural activities, student teachers. Now, this is different. This is really big time, global partnerships. And I'm kind of wondering how you became interested in this global partnering.
I've always had an interest in the world. I think probably comes from my background as a historian and really studying history and researching history and really understanding that the world is connected in so many ways that we don't quite understand as Americans sometimes. So we launched into an effort to really connect throughout the world to create these partnerships, and we currently have 40 partnerships in 25 different countries around the world.
Well, I know Dr. Lisa Battolino, we were chatting, and she said, this was back several months ago, and she said, oh, the president and I just came back from Belize, where you signed some
Correct.
kind of an agreement with the University of Belize, I believe
Correct.
it was. So you are, in fact, keeping this right up to date.
We are.
40.
We are.
Well, you know, there are great colleges and universities all over the world. So what are the broad goals of trying to link and build partnerships?
Well, I think if we really understand the world today, even our life here in America, even if we are people who never leave this country, it is a great advantage to understand the world and to understand how the world operates, what cultures are different in the world, and therefore how they impact our lives. So it has been our attempt to get our students, faculty, staff, the kind of exposure to the world that would be helpful to them, to help shape their own thinking about the world, and to help them to become better global citizens.
That's an interesting expression that's around now everywhere, global citizens. So that means a great deal to you, I can tell.
Yeah, it does.
Being a global citizen. In what way do you think that's different from just being a good American citizen?
Well, I think the world, really, the borders that are in the world are borders that we've created, that in fact people are all connected in many different ways. And for us to really go beyond those borders and understand that connection, particularly given that cultures are different. And when we understand different cultures, it shapes us differently. And so to be able to do that and to make those kinds of connections for our students has been a great advantage.
Well, I was reading in the Chronicle of Higher Education an article by Karen Fisher. She was talking about this international summit they had not too long ago. I think there were 15 countries represented. I'm going to quote from Dr. Fisher. She writes, countries that receive a lot of international students talked about the brain flow, but those that send many of their best and brightest abroad, they're worried about brain drain. And I read actually a professor from the University of Qatar, however we say that word, he wrote, internationalization is not an objective, it's a way to achieve an objective. So I'm just reading these different comments from various countries. there's such differences, which you said, between their countries in culture, education, economically. So what have been some of the problems or the challenges with this international education?
Well, I think what you just stated is correct, and I think we have here in this country the best higher education system in the world. And so we see a lot of students and folks coming from other places to study here, and ultimately many of them wish to remain here, which really is a drain on the countries that they come from. One of the things that we have done in our programs is really stress with our students from our international partners that it is our desire to have them come and study, to engage with us, but to return home. That it is really important if we're really going to develop and make the kinds of connections throughout the world that we really are trying to make here, it's important for those folks to return home. Cape Verde is a great example. We've had a number of students who have come here from Cape Verde, they've returned, and so now we actually have a presence in Cape Verde. A sense of Bridgewater is known, students there are connected here, we're connected there, and it creates a much better relationship.
You know, this is interesting to me, and I'm very impressed with what you're saying, because I've been reading that we educate these very highly gifted students, and some people complain that they can't get visas to stay here. They want to keep the brain drain here, or the brain flow. So you're saying kind of an opposite thing here, which sounds very humanitarian and generous compared to what I've been hearing.
Yeah. I am. I think we at Bridgewater view this slightly differently. This is not a way in which we seek to advantage ourselves economically by bringing students here, educating them and having them stay here and be part of this economy. There's nothing wrong with that. But our attempt is really to create better relationships, cultural exposure, and to help other countries develop. And so the countries that we are working with are mostly poor countries.
That is so unusual in today's world of greed, and you know, everything seems to have a bottom line of money. This really does, I mean, I'm sure this all benefits whatever universities are involved. There must be some financial connections, but your goal sounds so lovely. I wondered, which countries do most of the students like to travel to, or
we have a lot of
study?
students going to Asia, so China and Cambodia. We've had students in Europe, in Africa, in South America. So the partnerships I speak of are pretty much on every continent around the world. But mostly our students have gone really to the Asian countries, Japan, China, Cambodia, and a number to Europe also.
That's also unusual. You are kind of a creative man, aren't you? And that must have been why Deval Patrick asked you to be on that advisory board. Do you remember this? I probably shouldn't say this on the air, but the governor was traveling to different towns, and he came into Attleboro, where I taught for 30 years, and he asked, you know, could I have questions? And so before I asked my question, I made these big positive comments about you because, you know, we're here producing our show. So I said, it's so wonderful that you've chosen Dr. Dana Molifaria. And when I got through asking my question, he turned to you and said, is that your relative?
Yes.
Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
I thought that was funny. I hope that wasn't out of line, but people seem to enjoy it. I wonder now, with the students going to the countries you've mentioned, where do they get their degrees? Do they get the degree here, or do they have a dual degree? How does that work?
The partnerships we have vary. Some of them really entail study tours or exchanges for a semester. We have some programs where students will come from other countries for a year, or our students may go for a year. And we have one program with a Panesastra University in Phnom Penh in Cambodia, where we have a dual degree, where we have a 2+2 degree program that we're developing and working on now. So ultimately, it really is determined by the needs and the ability for us to work that out with the various universities and ministries.
Now, when our students go there, do they have to know the language of the country that they're going to, or is English everywhere?
Well, it's interesting. As you know, English is the language of business and the language of communication worldwide. So even when our students go to foreign countries, they get by, and we certainly make arrangements so that they at least can understand and comprehend as they're in these countries. A side note to that is, in all of my travels around the world and all of our relationships around the world, most countries, students speak multiple languages. It's only our students who speak one language.
Isn't that is sort of an indictment on us, isn't it, though? You know, we speak about being such a big power in the world, and yet we can't. I know I have a grandchild who's studying a language. She's not real happy that she has to do it, and I can't believe it. Yeah. I enjoy learning languages. In my church, for example, we have people from Bulgaria and Poland and various parts of the world, and I like learning at least how to greet people. Yeah. There was a little Japanese student working here, and she taught me, I think it's konnichiwa, how are you? And so that people are feeling comfortable.
Yeah.
And language is part of doing it, I think. How have you actually been developing the international ed? This hasn't always been this way here. When it was Bridgewater State College some years back. How
when I became president, we had 4 partnerships, and I believe 3 of those were in Europe and 1 with Japan. We now have 40, as I said.
I can't believe it.
Much of that has come through our looking globally and trying to determine where it was important to have these connections. A lot of it, the partnerships have come from our faculty connections in various parts of the world. So it's been a development that's come from a lot of different perspectives, but it's been very robust and I think very beneficial to the university and to our students.
That's quite an accomplishment, 40 from 4.
Yeah.
And I was surprised when I asked you a moment ago what countries the students travel to. I expected you to say England, you know, France, Germany, but most of them you say are in Asia.
Many of them are in Asia.
Many, yeah. So that's a whole change too. I hope you don't mind me mentioning this, but that you do have a Cape Verdean background.
I do.
And you're still in touch with people. So I think that, our life's experiences color what we can do in the world, isn't it so?
It is. I think it does color that, our perspective on the world, and I think, you know, in our case, certainly in my case, you know, understanding that the relationship, not only with Cape Verde, but with other countries has been of value, I think, to the university.
Absolutely. Well, we have to go to a break, but I happened to find a video on the Bridgewater State University TV channel, and I saw a speech by the president of Cape Verde, speaking of Cape Verde. Yeah. So when we come back, will you tell us all about that? How did you get the president to come to Bridgewater State University? Stay with us. You might get some ideas of your own. We'll be right back.
And then from this angle, it all makes a star.
I'm a teacher. Let me tell you what I make. I make learning a privilege, not a chore.
Show up
and frustration, a tool, not an obstacle. I make working hard seem easy and giving up impossible.
And then we're going to turn the lights and everybody look up.
I make an old subject feel like a fresh thought.
Finally won. What's your reaction gonna be? Yeah, exactly.
And unconventional methods.
Okay, what else?
Common.
This is their world.
There's nothing.
And then they die. Go ahead, go, go, go.
I'm a teacher. I make more.
We're back here with Dr. Mola Faria, and I'm so excited to talk with you because, as I said earlier, I watched a video on the Bridgewater State University channel, and I'm going to try to say his name properly, but the president of Cape Verde, Jorge Carlos de Almeida Fonseca, Am I correct?
Correct.
Well, it was pretty exciting to see the president of another country coming to Bridgewater State University. So I think I'm just going to ask you, would you tell me about this partnership? How did it develop? Because it sounds like you have a great thing going there.
Well, it is, and he is was recently, in the last couple of years, elected as president. And actually, he's the second president to come to Bridgewater. The first was Pedro Pierce, who is actually was a leader in the move for independence in Cape Verde in 1975. And we've also had the Prime Minister of Cape Verde, who has been here several times. So the leadership in Cape Verde is very familiar with Bridgewater, and we have a very strong partnership. In fact, we have developed a Pedro Pierce Institute for Cape Verdean Studies here on the campus. And we're also involved with the Pedro Pierce Institute in Cape Verde, which has been developed to train leaders and emerging leaders in West African countries. There are about 15 in the initial cohort, and those 15 will be coming to Bridgewater to spend time this summer.
Oh, maybe we can have a show
That would be
with
great.
some of them. Wouldn't that be exciting
That'd
to
be
hear their
terrific.
perspective on
Yeah.
all of this?
Yeah.
So tell me more about it.
So it's been a great partnership. Here at Bridgewater, we worked with Cape Verde initially when they asked, the Prime Minister came and asked if we would help. And we helped them draft their application for the Millennium Challenge grant, which is a grant given by the federal government to developing countries, developing democracies. And one of our political science faculty members actually drafted the original proposal. That was Shaheen Mosafar on our political science faculty. And that proposal was then refined by the ambassador from Cape Verde, and it was actually won a Millennium Challenge Award. In fact, Cape Verde went on to be the only country in the world to win 2 Millennium Challenge grants, which has really helped in their development. We also were very instrumental in helping them to establish their first public university. And in fact, I was invited and did deliver the inaugural speech at the opening of the university.
Oh, that must have been a special moment for you, wasn't it?
It was a great moment
To start their first university?
their first public university, and they now have more than 6,000 students.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And do they have qualified teachers and professors?
They do. We're currently working with them to help them develop a strategic plan for education. And I've been invited as one of 50 people from around the world to go to Cape Verde and sit in a summit to help them develop a strategic plan for the country for the next 10 years. And so
They're serious about education,
They really
obviously.
are.
Now, the educational level there in Cape Verde is still quite low.
it's low by our standards, but by standards as a developing nation, they're pretty high. And they're aggressively moving to provide comprehensive education to all its citizens. So
Free education, as we have here.
it's free. There's a small fee, but I think it reminds me that we here in this country take education for granted. When
Isn't
many
that
countries
something?
I go to where people actually have to pay to go to school.
I wondered, when you spoke about the grant that they were given, that they won, it does come down to money.
Yeah.
Because now I wonder about technology. Even here, we have a divide in the United States.
Right.
With some of the poorest schools don't have smart boards and computers in every room. Now, what about the technology there in Cape Verde?
The technology it's developing. What we are doing, whether it's in Cambodia or Cape Verde, here in our own local community with schools, we take a lot of our equipment that is used or surplused, and we try to provide support to a lot of different entities with that. But it's a challenge for them in terms of technology. Not even just technology, but books and supplies and those kinds of things are difficult for many of the developing nations, whether it's Cambodia or Cape Verde or Belize or anywhere that we're working.
Some of the, pardon me, some of the underdeveloped nations have been receiving, maybe through Gates, I'm not sure which foundation, but they're trying to get a computer into the hands of all these children in poor countries.
Yeah.
Because once they have the internet, they do have access to information and knowledge.
Right.
So is that something that you send your equipment, but are you connected to any kind of a, partnership where they actually send computers abroad?
Yeah,
Or
we
I
do.
think-
We send computers abroad. But I think one of the biggest challenges that we see, some of the biggest with our international partners, is, number one, you're right, it's money, it's capital, it's the ability to have the technology, the books, the supplies, the facilities. It is also the training and the quality of the level of quality of the teachers. And so, for example, in Belize, we are now working with the Belizean government and the University of Belize to look at ways in which we can help with professional development for teachers, teacher certification, those kinds of things. So if you think of any developing country or what a university takes or school, it takes trained teachers, it takes supplies, it takes equipment, it takes facilities, and many of these countries just don't have adequate amounts of those things to really help them. So that's what we're working to try to help them do.
I know, pardon me, Dr. Lisa Battolino, when she was on one of her trips to Belize, it happened to be a beautiful time of year there. You know, she said, "Oh, I just have to go." And I was thinking, as you said, professional development. I did a lot of training of teachers in education. I said, I think I'll sign up to go to Belize and do some training of teachers. Well, in the reading and education. So if you see my name on a list, give it a check. Now, coming back to our students here, maybe they've gone to Cape Verde, or maybe they're working here with someone from another country. How would you characterize the main benefits? How would you summarize? What does a student really get out of this?
Well, as I said at the beginning of the program, what we're seeing is that our students are really learning more about themselves. Many of the students who have been on study tours, who have gone to Cambodia to work on the water project, or to Belize, have come back, and it's really transformed their lives. They have a whole different perspective on what it means to be a global citizen and to understand the level of advantage and privilege that they have in this country.
That is really important, isn't it? We take it for granted. I remember when I was teaching middle school, and you'd sometimes walk in and the kids would be sitting there, arms folded, like, "I dare you to teach me," you know, and you're saying, "This is free education, it's for your future." But I think this global connection for students would really affect that, the whole outlook and perspective.
It does.
You know, I mean, think about it. School Talk is the only ongoing, with 25 years, show that's totally about education. Many commercial stations have a show, or PBS might do a wonderful series, but if you miss that, so because you are the president here, I just want to thank you for, we've been here almost 15 years producing School Talk, and Arthur Slotnick and Matt DeGrecci have just done quality work, because PBS would not have Bridgewater shows on if they weren't broadcast quality. So I think that's something else we can be proud of, because it's worldwide. We're talking about global education. People can go on the internet. In fact, Matt was showing how you can see where School Talk or any show has been seen and how often. We're seeing the most in Netherlands, if I remember right, United States, Netherlands, and Canada. But we're also seeing Saudi Arabia. You can see, they have a graph where you can see who picked up School Talk and which shows. So I'll bet this show on global education will be picked up around the world, because they're interested in that too. With all of this, there must be sometimes of frustration and disappointment. So I'm going to ask you both sides of this question. What's given you some frustration or disappointment in trying to get this done? And then maybe you could talk about what gives you optimism.
Well, I think sometimes the dealing in foreign nations can be difficult. Values, customs, ways of connecting are different, so sometimes it gets a little bit frustrating. But we overcome that most times. I think it's.
But that's a real difference, isn't it?
There are some major differences.
We had a student in our we had someone speak to us because she was saying that in some cultures, we tend to pat children on their heads. And in some cultures, that's really frowned upon.
Yeah.
And things like that teachers need to know when you're dealing internationally.
Yeah, it is.
And what gives you optimism for the future? I'm sure you have some of that.
Well, I think doing this work and being involved and doing a lot of the travel myself, it is clear that we as people on this planet, whether we are in Cambodia, in Russia, in South America, Africa, or in Bridgewater, Massachusetts, we are very much the same, with the same kind of desires and wants as people. And I think understanding that and being able to work with people from that common base has really made all the difference. And it's a joy to work with students, or to watch someone come from Belize, as we did here, be trained and holds a major position in the Ministry of Education in Belize, and is really helping to transform the country. So I think that brings us a lot of gratification.
Well, thank you so much. This has been such an enjoyable, and I've really enjoyed your perspective on this global education without all the industrialization and money behind it all. So thank you so much for sharing with me, Dr. Molifaria.
Thank you.
In closing, I've read that countries see their international education in a variety of ways. Some see it as nation building or talent building. Some see it as a form of diplomacy, or some see it as a critical component for international trade, and some see it as a means of world peace. Well, in higher ed and academia, in this global information age, understanding and interacting with other cultures sure seems important to me, and it will remain part of our conversation, our educational conversation, which I call School Talk.